When I was a kid growing up in Kyoto in the late 90s, I heard the stories about the tall woman who lived in the woods. People said she would take children who wandered too far from the village. I always thought it was just a local legend, until one night I experienced it for myself. I was out hunting boars in the forest, alone, with only one bullet left in my rifle. I had missed my shot earlier, and the boar had escaped into the trees. My thoughts were still on the hunt when I heard a twig snap near my tent. I froze, trying to listen. Then I heard a voice, soft, almost a whisper. "I'm hurt," the voice said. I stepped outside cautiously. A tall woman stood in front of my tent, her eyes hollow and tired. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice shaky. "I'm looking for something," she replied, her voice unnaturally calm. "Like what?" I asked, trying to hide my fear. "My cat! It's missing," she said, her gaze never leaving mine. I noticed how strange she looked, too tall, too thin, her face pale and almost inhuman. Her eyes were too wide, and her expression never changed. "Where are you from?" I asked, unable to look away. "Another country," she said softly. I should have been afraid. I should have run. But something kept me there, talking to her, trying to be polite, like I didn't feel the chill crawling up my spine. Eventually she asked, "Can I sleep in your tent? I'm too tired to keep searching." Everything in me screamed to say no. The stories flashed in my mind, but instead I hesitated. "Okay, but don't do anything weird," I said, my voice barely a whisper. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. It was cold and unsettling. I crawled into my sleeping bag, trying to ignore the feeling that something was very wrong. And then, just as I thought I might drift off, I heard it. Her breath, slow and steady, right beside me. It didn't sound normal. It was too deep, too slow, like she wasn't really breathing at all. Then, the ground beneath my tent shifted. I heard a horrible sound, a crack, followed by a loud, drawn-out shriek. I opened my eyes just in time to see her head stretch impossibly long, her neck elongating in the darkness. I froze, paralyzed with fear. Then, as suddenly as she appeared, she was gone. I lay there for what felt like hours, terrified to move, too afraid to even breathe. By the time I finally mustered the courage to leave my tent, she was nowhere to be found. I've never forgotten that night. Maybe it was a dream, or maybe it wasn't. But sometimes, when I'm alone in the woods, I still hear that shriek echoing in the back of my mind.